I love seeing physicality when it comes to international rugby, and to see Owen Farrell come out of the line and put a huge hit in, and the South Africa player to go flat on his backside. I thought it was absolutely amazing viewing, really good viewing. However, when you watch it back and you see young kids maybe watching it leading with the shoulder, it wasn't that it was a high tackle, it was just that he led with the shoulder. And I think if I was still playing professional rugby at this minute in time, I'd be yellow carded and red carded every single week because I led with my shoulder all the time. Because if you just tackle with your arm, it's a lot more difficult to get a shot on somebody. But yeah, a penalty was probably the right decision, Murray.
I would reckon if Stephen was still playing rugby and he made that exact hit last week, he would have been yellow or red carded. Like, I think there's an element of... I don't know. I think people are kind of confusing two issues here. The high tackles, which are above the shoulder line. Yeah, that is yellow or red, definitely every time now. It wasn't that kind of tackle. His head did obviously dip over because of the impact. Really interesting what you say. If Esterhuizen had won that collision, that contact, it wouldn't have been even noticed. It was because Farrell was so dominant with his shoulder. If Esterhuizen actually gets a better kind of explosive movement into the tackle, he lands up on top of Farrell onto the ground, and then the shoulders kind of...
Farrell could have even ended up on his backside.
Exactly. In which case
he
goes
over
the
top of him and wraps his arms in the process. So he was almost punished for putting such a big shot on, but yeah, there was enough there for the referee, certainly with the right arm down by his side. Yeah,
it did seem as though the attempt to wrap was kind of an afterthought or almost a token gesture at that point. Like, that, I know it's difficult, like things always look at worse in slow motion, but if you do freeze frame it, like his shoulder collides with Esterhuizen before his arms even move towards wrapping. So
and that's a pen, and I think he'll probably have learned a bit of a lesson. It is unfortunate that he's going to maybe have to take some of that physicality out of his game, because it is riveting to watch, especially from an out half like him who's just so combative. But yeah, it was a penalty.
Yeah, just briefly on that, like, I mean, say if you were still playing and you would have had to have made some of these adjustments, how difficult would it be to adjust actually? I was thinking about it the whole way down in the car and about the tackle, and I was thinking that there was a hit on, I think it was Rory Best on Stephen Moore a couple of years ago, where Stephen Moore got really, really low and Rory tackled him with his arm, and because Stephen Moore was really low, he actually hit him on the head with his arm. So if you're trying to use your arm or you're trying to use your shoulder, the only way that you can kind of get around this is by going and tackling around the ankles and wrapping around with your arms around the ankles, or pull the guy to ground. Now, if you're on your own try line and you do that, it's going to be a try 9 out of 10 times. So it's just being smart about it. I think there was a game against Claremont that Ulster played Claremont at home. I think we won, and Ian Humphrey scored a great try down the right hand side. Lee Byrne carried a ball back, and I exactly the same thing. I smashed him, but my arm kind of went right of me, and Wayne Barnes was the referee, and he said play on, and it was nearly identical to what Owen Farrell did at Twickenham there on Saturday. So yeah, for me, it would take a lot of adjustment, because I like to try and hit high and target the ball. And that's something Ireland maybe did a little bit better in the second half against Italy last week, and stopped a lot more of the offloading game. But yeah, I think it's something you got to practice, and you got to practice it. And getting up on a Monday after a hard 80 minutes and going to tackle practice on a Monday morning of tackling low, wouldn't really be my cup of tea. But an earlier retirement,
it's the way the game's going.
Yeah,
it absolutely is, and you got to adjust.